Welcome to the official, unofficial podcast of the Melbourne Demons, the DeeBrief, and this is very official in the boardroom of the Melbourne Football Club. I'm joined by Caden McDonald, the YouTube sensation, and the D's Nuffy, and none other than the Prez, Brad Green. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. It is it's a beautiful room, cups, and obviously the photo over there. It's a great room to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, look at Norm. We've got Robbie up there. We've got Gaz, Jimmy.
That's it. Well, even the old boys back in the 64 premiership side. So it's the history of this club's sensational. When you go back in the timeline over on the wall, it's a special place.
No Brad Green up there though.
No, that was the last century. No, I'm joking.
How many important decisions have been made in here?
I would have said a lot over the journey, but thinking back, it's I think how the club was established. We wrote the rules. We started the game. We're here at the MCG. You sit back sometimes and think about all those great moments throughout time, and it's the football club is a special place for a lot of people, and sometimes we just got to remember that it's a great place to be.
It is. It's a beautiful place. Let's get stuck in with some of the big questions that were coming through from the DeeBrief faithful on the socials.
Yep.
I reckon every second question was Caulfield. We're just looking for a bit of an update. I know there was an article published by The Age 8 days ago in relation to funding. What have you got for us, Greenie?
Yeah, so obviously over the last couple of years we've been looking at this space around the Corfield racecourse, and we passed through the feasibility study. It's in the business case phase at the moment through state government, and a first here for the DeeBrief. I was with the state government over the last week or so, and moving those conversations along take a little bit of time, not as quick as we'd like them, but they're moving in the right direction. That's what I can tell you. I'm very positive that the conversations we're having, we do want to make sure we get everything right, that all stakeholders are happy, because there's plenty of stakeholders down there when you're talking about the MRC, the Caulfield Trust. Mount Scopers is looking at putting their school down there as well. So all parties have got to be aligned and got to be together, and it takes a little bit of time, but I believe we're going to get there, which is great.
There's enough land there, isn't there, for us to get a slice of it?
There's huge. It's obviously there's green space that every council needs in that space now, and the funding of the questioning of the media article last week. I just you shake my head sometimes, and where that comes from, and people know our funding model and they think we don't know how to fund the thing. You just sit there and shake it that they basically telling us that we don't know what we're doing. So it's strange how people are questioning it all the time that this is not going to happen. I question that sometimes myself, but I'm in it, and I've been surrounded by this for a couple of years, and it's moving in the right direction.
How important do you think a new home base is to becoming a destination club and attracting talent from across the league?
Oh, it's huge. You talk about we're the only club in the AFL at the moment. So there's only 18 teams that basically has 3 different venues. So we've got our administration staff that are all based here. We've got our football program, our AFLW, our AFL men's, the VFL, VFLW, and predominantly that goes between Casey and Amy.
Yep. So
literally our playing group, our football staff, the integration of going between each venues is very hard. You don't, some of the players wouldn't even see the marketing team or the sponsors or the people that are sitting up here daily don't get to interact, where every other club has that all in one house.
Yep.
And that's a big thing for my board and for myself, that we want to provide everyone in the same building, the one place, this red and blue everywhere, to provide that. It's going to be a special day.
I just wanted to say, right now, is it really tricky to try and attract top talent to the football club, given those reasons? Because a lot of Melbourne supporters like to reference Jake Lever, Stephen May coming in, Michael Hibbard, who was sensational, Jake Melksham, who's still playing.
Ed Langdon,
who was an awesome recruit. Is it hard? Like, are we up against it at the moment, given some of the other football clubs perhaps look a little bit more attractive?
No, I don't believe so. I think it's just your list strategy and where you believe you're going and what key cogs you need in the side. Attracting talent, I think, we've been okay with that. It's moulding it around our premiership side that won the flag in 21 versus 3 years later, when you've got salary caps and different things that you've got to integrate and work with. I think everyone will be asking, why can't we just go and find a Charlie Curnow and pay them $1 million out of his salary cap and
That'd be
get
nice.
a full forward just to go bang and be that? It's very hard to find those players. One, you can find them, but two, getting them to your club, finding the salary cap room, moving your program around so that they all satisfy and work with each other. It takes a bit of time and list strategy to be able to do that. And one, they got to want to come too.
Yeah.
It's everyone says you got to. It's both. I think in any list strategy, you got to draft, you got to trade, and you got to try and attract key people that want to come to your organisations. And I still believe we're an attractive club.
Just on that, Kados, one player that springs to mind is obviously Keziah Pickett and him recommitting to the football club. We're so excited about what he brings. He's a fan favourite. I'd say just behind Max Gawn, he's probably the main man. He's about to take that mantle off Max when he departs the football club, and I say it all the time, I'll be a well of tears at Maxie's last game, as will you, I think, Greenie.
I've played with Max, so that's how long Max has been going.
Exactly. So is Cozzy Pickett such a crucial part of attracting talent when you've got a player like him? Come and play with the most exciting player.
How good. When the guys came to me and said looks potentially that could happen, I said, really? Is Cozzy going to sign? I said, okay, I'm fully invested, I'm with you here. It's, basically, obviously, list management go through their strategy and keeping our players and keeping the attraction. And we all knew the noise over the last couple of years with Cozzy. He's so loved. I think our supporters, as you said, our members, our playing group, all our staff. And you want to keep talent in your building. And he is talented. He's probably, in our top 4 players. I don't want to go past, Track and those boys to say he's our best player, but he is certainly up there with our best players, which is hopefully an attraction for him to stay. And two, he brings people to the game. People come to watch Cozzy Pickett play. If you're getting 20 touches and kicking 5 every week, it's not a bad output.
Kados, you got a retweet, I think, from Greenie.
I did, yeah. My little song, my Cozzy Pickett song.
I loved it.
Chucked it on Twitter.
Can we get a bit of rendition now?
Oh,
absolutely not.
Not enough auto-tune in the software. But obviously, Greenie, so we were told that this year we were going to change the game plan and we might get off to a bit of a slow start. And we're a little bit behind the 8 ball in terms of the ladder, but what are some positives that you've seen from the club this year?
I suppose when we did our review with Darren Shand and that at the end of last year, and we fundamentally looked at our program and where that was going. We, in conjunction with our leaders of Max and Jack and Lever and Langdon, all these players that they spoke to about our program, we changed it around. You're looking at our coaching panel that changed. Bassett coming into the back line, Chappie going forward, Sammy Radford and Nathan Jones going into our midfield. And sometimes that takes a little bit of change. You remember Clayton and Track hadn't played with each other for upwards of 7 or 8 months.
Yep. Lever and May was similar.
Lever and May were a bit similar. And then from that, we did change our style. I think you would see it probably did, with only 1 or 2 games now in pre-season, and the amount of holidays these players have off now. Yeah. I wish I had that. I was starting mid-October, but they don't come back till start of December. So implementing and getting a new game plan and trying to make that work, playing against opposition twice before you run out round 1 is difficult. There's no excuse for being zip and 5. We started slow, but you saw little pieces of that strategy and that new game plan coming to fruition. Probably should have beaten GWS. Then we really had 2 or 3 poor games in that period. Yeah. And then you saw change, I reckon. They started. And probably what you see now is our ability to move the ball from one end to the other is not too bad. Getting it from there to then scoring is probably still an issue. But I reckon we're getting enough scoring opportunities. The ability just to convert is one thing that we haven't got better, I don't think, in 3 or 4 years. But everyone in the world knows that we've been struggling at conversion, which is, it just takes practice, routine. It's mental too. It all comes into it. And people go, why don't you just do more goal kicking? The players are doing that much goal kicking. I think they're over kicking the goals. They're always working on it. They're trying it. They're training hard with it. They're trying to get better, as they always are. So there's ability to move the ball, and then what happens when you're trying to move the ball quicker, as we have been, the ability for once the opposition turn it back over, defensive transition, you'd see teams probably leak goals back the other way so easy. So it's a balancing act to be able to move the ball, score. And I'm not a coach, but that's how I see it as a fan, because I'm just a fan. I don't get into tactics or game plans with our coaches. That's what I see, I think.
How infuriating is it for you as a fan? We kicked the 26-46 the last 3 weeks. We had all 3 games on our terms. We just couldn't finish off the final part.
Yeah.
A lot of Melbourne supporters are obviously frustrated that we're losing in the same way, in the same manner. We're winning contested possession, clearance, forward half territory, all the key indicators that you want to win. How frustrating is it just as a supporter to see that we're just falling down at that final hurdle?
Can I tell you, I'm a shocking watcher. I hate watching footy. Even I'm so passionate about my football club, but I'm not a great watcher. I sit there and I'm so nervous and I get tense. I'm probably worse if I'm not watching it live at the game. I'm watching our team on the TV. So, as a fan, sometimes it's I'm like anybody. We get frustrated, but then we get so excited when we get up and get a victory, and we do win and we do play well. But I think you go back to over in Alice. We gave them a 5-goal head start, and then we clawed our way back in the game. And I think in the second half we kicked 1 goal 12. You're not going to win any games of footy that way. The King's birthday game, I think we got it back to 1 point with about 6 minutes to go. We had opportunities to win the game. I thought, wow, boys, Collingwood's going as good as anyone. We're matching it with the best. And then obviously I thought Port Adelaide last week, we probably just fell away with some, fundamentals of, it didn't look like us a little bit. Our pressure and tackle game wasn't there. We allowed them to get some easy scores. And I reckon they've looked at the review with going into the bye that I don't reckon our leaders would have been happy the way they played. And hopefully we see a change coming into Gold Coast this week because, it's that we need a response. We need to get better than what we got against Port.
Now, just quickly, some Melbourne supporters think we need fresh ideas and change in the coaching staff. Where do you sit with that, given the fact that a lot's going right and it's just that final piece? Where do you sit? Are you confident in the coaching group?
I believe that we made change last year. We got some new voices in. IP's always, we always like new ideas and new intellectual property from different clubs and the way the game's played. I think we're always looking to make change if we bring in the right people and making our club better. Do we make change for the sake of making change? No. You've got soft caps, you've got people that are contracted. So making decisions is just not a strategy. We just need change and we just need to just do it for the sake of doing it. So there's some science to it. There's, key parts have to move for that to happen. So there will be change if there needs to be. They've still got 9 or 10 games to go for the season and, there'll be conversations towards the end of the year on what that looks like, I would say.
When you look at the 22, is there any areas you think we probably need to strengthen, and how would you go about strengthening them? Is it trade free agency? Are there players coming through from Casey that might be able to add to the 22 in the next 18 months?
I think when you're looking at a list profile, it's fundamentally, I think we've got all key areas covered. If you're looking forwards, backs and mids, are we playing well and are they improving is another question. You would always like more talent in your forward half and the ability to score, but I think if our 3 pillars in Jefferson, Van Rooyen, Petty's been playing down there, we all think they can play. It's just have they worked together and have they played enough together? Have they been given enough time? You're looking at Aidan Johnson. I love when Aidan comes in.
Yeah.
He's a competitive beast. I think all Melbourne supporters would love the way Aidan goes about it. I think he's been reported twice this year, every time he plays. So you're looking at that, and then you go to our midfield. Our midfield mix, won us a flag with Oliver, Track and Viney. Do they, have to mix it up and, start getting Cozzy in there more, Rivers, Langford, Windsor, Lindsay, those talented players that we're going to have. Do we have to look at changing that mix up? And then I think you've got a back half that's so strong. And that connection, with May and Levy, as you said, and I think Turner going down the back half, I think he's found his spot. I think he's a better back than he is a forward.
You reckon he'll be a backman for the next?
I think so. I think that's where he's playing his best footy. But I'm saying as a fan, I don't know an insight any knowledge with that. And then I think Bowie's having his best year.
Amazing.
I think
He is.
Jake Bowie would be leading our BNF. If not, he'd be in the top 5.
Yep.
And Saylor, I think, has been having a great year. As well, Judd McVee's come back from injury. So the frustrating thing is, as a fan, you look at us and we're 5 and 8, and we're saying all these positives, but in reality we are where we are, and no one is happy with that, and we've got to get better and we've got to improve.
Premiership window, you want to ask the big question? You're big on premiership windows when we chat.
Yeah, I feel like we're in a little bit of a recalibration stage just as a fan. Like, we got so many young players in the 22 every week.
Yep.
And it's exciting, but you sort of have to limit your expectations on them for at least 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
What I love about the 18, 19-year-olds that we bring in, and even some that play Casey for 40 games, they come in and they look like 200 gamers. Like, they're so cool, calm, collected, composed. But I still give that leeway that if 7 or 8 of our team, if not more, are under 22, 23, I, as a fan, probably can't expect us to be contending until they reach 40, 60 games. So when do you think that next premiership window tilt will come? Are we going up? Do we have to go down for a little bit more to recalibrate more? Where do you see it as a fan?
I see it as we've got a core group of older players. You know, you've got May, Gawn, Viney, who's there, Langdon. You know, these older core players that were in our flag in 21. We're sort of missing, I reckon, that sort of 24 to 26. But you've got, I think, Van Rooyen, I think Rivers, but they're still young. I think Rue's still only 22. Cozzy's 24, so he's probably your most talented. And then you're right, our core under 21s of Lindsay, Langford, Windsor,
Carlton,
Jefferson.
Yeah.
They're all first round draft picks. You know, Jefferson, Van Rooyen and Carlton were first round picks. And then you're looking at Langford, Lindsay. So that core group of 6 or 7 should be developing over the next 3 or 4 years. I don't speak about premiership windows. I think as any football club, you're looking always to win it. And how do you get better? So are you in it now or for the long term or when? I think you're always trying to do both. Yep. I always think you're trying to look for the future because you don't want to ever bottom out in this league. You know, fundamentally, if Tasmania coming in, you always want to get talented players coming into your side, as well as trying to trade in and bring in good players. So bring in talented people and talented. You know, I think Sydney and Geelong probably do it the best. They bring in quality players between 24 and 27, and they play 8 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're there, they're talented, and you're always trying to rejig your list that way, while your underbelly is your youth, as well as you got your core. So where's your window? I think fundamentally you're always trying to strive and be in it.
Yep.
But it's just that prime when you've got everyone playing to the best. If you know that knowledge, can you tell me?
Yeah. I reckon,
do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I don't think you're always trying to move away from always looking to have expectations of either winning it or playing finals or whatever. We always want to be thereabouts as a football club. As long as I'm president or on the board, we want to be in a phase where we're always competitive week to week and making sure our members and supporters walk out of the ground. Geez, Melbourne had a go today. And we're winning games of footy. That's where we always want to be.
And this league, like, I think 20 years ago, if you finished 14th, you probably finished 15th, you probably finished 16th, and then you probably started your way back up the ladder. But we've seen across the last 4 or 5 years, I think Geelong finished 14th and then second or something, and Collingwood finished 17th and then made a prelim. So there is those big jumps year to year in
Was it
AFL
us
footy.
that didn't play? So 21, I can't remember, 19 and 20 finals?
19 we were 17th, and then 20 we were 9th,
Yeah.
and then we won the flag.
So
So bang,
first.
bang, bang.
Yeah, so you can jump.
Yeah.
And I look at it, if you come second, you come last.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
we're all here to win the big, on there, collect our medals and get the Premiership Cup at the end of the day. And if you're not winning it, then you might as well finish 18th.
Yep.
I just want to talk about the external review just quickly, and I just want to applaud you firstly for the way that you handled the media, the vultures, as I like to call them on the podcast. I love the fact that you came out, you were passionate, there was all that hoo-ha around Clary. I was really proud of the way you conducted yourself, Brad. And I don't know what it is, but they've got it in for us. And I think the way that you went about it was tremendous. And I think we've certainly seen that buy-in from the supporters. Darren Shan came out and said, this club's fine. Like, this club culturally is united, they're aligned, there's nothing to see here. But perhaps what were a couple of lessons that you got out of it that you're looking to implement from the end of the review, maybe until this point? What were some of the things that you thought, you know what, we can do that a little bit better?
I think, there was a few things that we didn't do well as a board. There was a couple of things outside the footy club's stance that we just needed to fix and clean up. That was the first point. And secondly, being transparent with our members through the media is probably something I tried to change when I first came in, is be more transparent, be more open, and communicate with our people. And it doesn't have to be through the media, it can be through different media platforms. It could be a presence letter, or it could be on social media, or it could be through whatever. So those two fundamentals that we needed to clean things up in the background and fix it, and then fundamentally be transparent with our people, which we probably haven't been over the last 3 or 4 years. And people probably just thinking, what are you guys doing down there? So we should be, as a board, be open, be transparent, be communicating with our people. And if we've done that, we can't hide. There's nothing to hide from. And then, we should be open to criticism if it's warranted, or media pump us up. We like being talked about. It's in a positive sense too. So both ways, I think that's where we got to be.
I personally like the us against the world mentality, so I hope the club doesn't lose that. President-elect Stephen Smith will take over from yourself, Brad. What's he going to bring to the table? I've heard he's a very savvy operator.
Yeah, I suppose when we were looking at this transition of myself taking over as president, I know some of the people in the media still think I'm an interim president, but I am actually the president. I like to remind people that I am the president.
You're the president.
People like to say interim to me, but that's okay.
Probably your teammates, I would have thought.
Yeah, probably. It's but yeah, I think when you have this, hold this position and you take it on, you don't take it for granted. You want to make this environment better. And by doing that, you try and find good people to come on your board, and maybe people that succeed you. And in communicating that and finding out with someone like Steve, bringing him onto the board, who potentially could be president. The thing is, we say he might be president in a year. The board's still got to decide that, so I can't preempt a vote. Yeah. But the things is that, we've done a lot right around the board table, which has been what I'm really happy and proud of the way we've gone about it, and bringing good people on will certainly help that.
Let's move our attention to yourself. How have you actually found the presidency? Because we haven't really asked you that question.
Well, thank you. It's look, I love it. I'm so proud that I get to hold this position, and I say hold it. No one's owed it or earned it or whatever. People. I'm so grateful that my board elected me to be president, and especially this club means a lot to me. When I turned up here as a 17, 18-year-old and went through my career, and then I had some struggles when I lost my wife, and the football club was a big part of me getting back into being myself again, and this club means the world to me. And the whole year has been, what I can say is enjoyable, because whatever we're doing is trying to make our club better and trying to do things for the future and for the Melbourne Football Club. Has it been easy? No, I don't think it's a challenging, and every day is not the same, if you know what I mean. Look, fundamentally I've been, my family help out a lot. You're on the phone a lot, your emails, you're in meetings. But would I change it? No. I'm enjoying it, but it's certainly challenging. It's not easy.
I couldn't imagine, to be honest. I've got a few questions from the socials, and instead of singling out one single person, I'm just going through some of the themes and the topics that came through. I know you probably don't want to put him in the limelight, but a lot of people came through and were asking about a potential father-son, Greenie. So if you want to lift the lid, be my guest, but you've got a boy there that's pretty good, I hear.
Yeah, I've got a 15-year-old son. Ollie, who's he's quite talented. I don't want to get his head too big, but he's down at the East Brighton Vampires, playing junior footy down there, and he's at Brighton Grammar at school, so he's in the APS system. But yeah, he plays. Yeah, he's pretty good. He's got different assets to Dad.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a bit more speed than I've got. He's got a right foot, which I didn't.
Never. You never had that.
So I know, mate. The only thing I knew for right foot was balance to kick with my left. So yeah, he's potentially there could be, but a long way to go yet.
Is he a mid? Just quickly.
He's a midfielder. He plays inside mid. He likes to, but he can go forward and kick a few goals. But yeah, he goes okay.
Kalani and Brad's boy.
Well, I was going to say, how exciting is it that the father-sons that we've been getting through over the past couple of years from your era? So
yes.
we had Woden, Brown, potentially Kalani White as well.
Yeah, and I've seen because the footy clubs with their academy and the father-son, I think you've got Travis Johnson's boy, Tigger.
Heard that.
Anthony McDonald's got a boy called Max.
Yeah.
He's got a couple of boys. And I'm sure I'm missing a couple.
Maybe Flash?
Uze's thereabouts?
Yes,
No,
Flash
Uze.
has got a boy at Xavier College in Year 10.
Yeah.
Uze with Noah.
Yeah.
So the breeding ground of my era was not too bad with the males.
That's good.
They did okay.
It's very good. Now, this one's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but have you put your hand up to help with the set shots?
People have said that to me. I think, look, sometimes when you get that many people coaching you and giving you opinions on how to kick goals, the game now compared to when I played, the up and down nature of the way the style that the game's played is certainly fatigues our players than I've ever seen. So the ability to calm down and have 30 seconds with set shots and things is getting harder and harder. So that's one, the fatigue, and the mentality and the mental capability to be strong to go back and kick that goal has never been harder. So there's two components. There's obviously the skill component of execution, and then the mental capability to go back and kick it, which we've got to work on both, I think.
You're going to wrap us up, I think, with some rapid fires.
Well, I was going to just touch on that and say the shot clock. I think the shot clock has changed goal kicking as well. Instead of having 45 seconds to that 50 seconds, it's...
Well, when I was playing, you could take as much time as you want, and then the goalpost changed. Remember the goalpost went from sort of half post, and Richo came out and said our goal kicking is harder because the posts they go up higher. Obviously, they didn't want to miss it, and it actually, from a visual point of view, it makes it look different. But that's probably just my whinging about things.
What have you got for him?
All right,
the YouTuber. Your son
we-
probably watches him on YouTube, I would have thought.
I would have thought, yes.
We almost touched on this earlier, but we got a couple of quick fire questions. Daniel Turner, is he a forward or a defender?
Well, he's answered that.
Back. This is my opinion coming from me or as a fan.
Yeah, no, your opinion.
I think he's a back. I think he can play. I think he can be a swingman and go forward, but fundamentally holding down a role, a back.
Take your pick, Cameron Bruce or Brad Green to play in this current list?
Look, I would back myself in, but Bruce is a good player.
Can I just quickly interject on that one? I actually ran a poll on that 3 or 4 years ago on the DeeBrief, and it was the closest poll I've ever run. I think there were about 2,000 votes, and it was about, I think it was 49.7 to 50.3 or
We've been
something.
close mates ever since we got drafted the same year. I still get called Cameron Bruce sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think he gets Brad sometimes too. So even though I don't think we look alike, we still got that. And remember the year he cracked his collarbone?
Yes. Paul Guerra.
Paul Guerra or Brett?
Brett. I'm like, Paul? Why Paul? I don't know. I went with Paul.
And I reckon he was leading the Brownlow that year.
He was.
I think he was at 12 or 13 votes.
Yeah.
So he reminds me of that every now and then.
Yeah, well said. All right, what's the last one? Do you want to build a player or?
Do you want to?
Oh, I don't know. Who would? Let's go through it.
All right, rapid fire. Greenie, who was the best player you played with across your career?
David Naughtsie. He's ultimate professional, the big Yogi Bear. He was he's the history of the game in our football club. Most games captain. The only thing, obviously, we didn't win a flag in that period of time, but for a person to stand up when you needed someone to stand up, I still call him the skip. David Naughtsie for sure.
Who was the best athlete that you played with?
Ooh.
Good question. Athlete. Simon Godfrey was a freak runner. Remember Simon Godfrey?
Yeah.
Of course.
Tagger. Yeah, got us. Interesting. I remember a game. He was tagging Nathan Brown. I think Brown was playing for the Richmond. Yeah, he was playing for Richmond, and basically both of them had come to the bench, and Goddard was doing that such a good job that he said to Nathan Brown, stood up to run back on the ground and looked over and said, "Goddard, come on, we're going back on the ground now." Literally just wore him like a glove. Couldn't get a touch. So an athlete, yeah, probably Simon Godfrey.
Who is the best leader? If it was Nita, who was the second best leader that you played with?
Good question. James McDonald.
Yep.
Yeah, I think if you took pure leadership qualities, the way he trained and performed on game day, junior for sure.
Who's an underrated teammate?
Underrated. That's a good question. I played with a lot of people like ability to get someone to play their role. I remember playing even when I nearly retired, like Jack Grimes.
Yeah.
Underrated, should have played longer. Injuries got in his way. You go back to Bruce, he was very, I wouldn't say underrated, but the roles he played, from going on played Brad Johnson to a James Hird. Neil would set him tasks. And even in the middle, when we were sort of going between the changeover between Neil Danaher and the Dean Bailey era, you had players like, I thought Jeff White, for his size and his ability to jump over people and ruck and get back and take those marks that he did, for the skill he had, was unbelievable.
And then lastly, which teammate had the most aura? Had a bit of a strut, some confidence?
I lived with Shane Woden when I first moved over. The blonde tips and the white hair, and he used to go for a sauna. Not a sauna. What do you say? A solarium.
Really?
An afternoon. We played on
Solly.
I went for a solly on the afternoon, and then run out in the MCG 2 hours later. I'm going, mate. So that wasn't for me. I didn't.
That's how he got all those votes.
Of course.
The blonde hair and the tan.
Sorry, Shane, but yeah.
No, that's awesome.
It's nice. We were going to build a player, but I just want to ask you, who is the best left footer that you played with? And are you going to pick yourself?
Other than myself, no, who's for sure? Adam Uzo.
Davey?
Flash.
Oof.
Yeah. I think Aaron changed the role of the small pressure forward and his skill level, but yeah, Uz was a fairly good left footer.
Just a final one to wrap up. I just want to speak about the Past Players Association and just the past players in general. Yep. They've all been so accommodating with me over the journey, doing the DeeBrief, 10 years next year. Can't believe we've done it for that long, but they've been amazing, and they're such an integral part of this football club, and I often speak about just how important they are. I know we haven't had a lot of success since 1964, but one thing I'm really proud of is we've got some incredible Melbourne people. So I just want to get your take on just how important the Past Players Association is.
The Past Players are a big part of our organisation, and led by the great Rod Grinter, president of the Past Players. Their board fundamentally is well run. It's a well run organisation. It looks after all our past players. When you're thinking about what's gone on over the last 6 months with a few of our, families around the league, it's tough out there. And, our past player group is always looking out for each other and making sure that they're getting looked after if they need help or they need to see somebody. So, it's a great group. Well loved, well liked, and they do a great job.
I love the hill sprints as well when they got them out.
Yeah.
They do. That's their pre-season ritual with
Cool.
the current players. Don't know if any of them can run. I probably need to get out there and do some more with them.
I reckon Chell thinks he's the only one that can do it. Honestly, probably.
The Italian stallion, he's going over there next week. He told me his budgies are coming out on the rocks.
God, Chell, my God. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. I just want to thank the Melbourne Football Club and Matt Goodrope for organising this interview in the beautiful boardroom with the beautiful shot here of Norm and some of the greatest Melbourne players in our history. You are definitely one of them for me, a fan favourite, a champion. I absolutely adored watching you. My little brother had the 18. Yes. I'm sorry, I had the number 16. Travis. My brother, who's 6'9", had the 34. So that Neil Danaher vintage, that era, still some of the greatest memories as a child. So thanks for your time.
No worries. Thank you.